Okay, and let me introduce to you our last speaker, Ludka Kotarska. And Ludka has been closely associated with Equals, the organization involved with development programs for teachers. And the main goal of the organization is to promote excellence in language education. And Ludka is going to speak about one of their many programs, namely the LAP framework. So I believe it is going to be full of useful and practical information.
Thank you very much, Marketa. Good afternoon. Welcome. A warm welcome to those of you here in this room and those who are actually joining us online. You might not have the time to visit our website or look at the flyer which is in the conference bag. So if you don't mind, I will start with a few slides of introduction. I would like to change the slide, and I'm afraid it doesn't work. Excuse me. It doesn't. It got sort of. And I want to just clarify this, that it's not going to be a sales pitch.
Maybe it's a little bit delayed.
No, it doesn't work. Sorry, I've got a technical problem. The slides don't change.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. But it happened before.
Okay. It has disappeared. Apologies, technical problems.
I see. Yeah, so just so beautiful.
Apologies, we're having a technical problem. Welcome, so we'll sort of, start again. We've got a problem with changing slides. So, well, actually, yes. I think we will be rescued in a moment. Sorry. Okay, if you can stay here for 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Okay, well, I said that's a few slides of introduction about Equals, but it's not a commercial presentation. I just want to clarify it. We're an international member organization which was established nearly 30 years ago. International member organization means that we've got accredited institutions, we've got associate members that are international examination boards, national associations like the British Council, for example, or publishers, and individual members. These are Equals inspectors, they are professionals, freelance consultants in the area of language education. Over 200 of us in 40 countries on 3 continents. We are an international NGO, a charity registered in England and Wales. We've got a participatory status with the Council of Europe, an affiliate status with ENCA, and we run actually not just one, but 2 robust accreditation schemes. This is what we do, and this is what we believe in. In a nutshell, our mission is to help good language centers become even better. We support quality and excellence in teaching of any language in any country and in any sector of language education. So it's not only about English, it's about all languages. Our members across, all the accredited members teach 25 languages. Naturally, English is the most common one. We prescribe to the values of Council of Europe, the principles and the values of inclusion, international cooperation, intercultural understanding, plurilingualism, and lifelong learning. Our expertise lies in 3 areas. Self-explanatory, quality assurance, not just our own accreditation schemes, but over the years we have helped a number of national associations set up their own accreditation schemes, train inspectors, work out quality standards and procedures. The second area is we are recognized experts in the Common European Framework of Reference, especially in its adoption in course design and assessment. And the third area is academic management, teacher training and development, and competency frameworks. Okay, so the title of this presentation is Teachers at a Crossroads. Actually, it seems to me that we are all at a crossroads. It's students, teachers, and institutions. What I would like to share with you is our, if you want, value-added proposition for teachers and for institutions, the 2 teacher training and development frameworks, the accreditation scheme for higher education, and going beyond it. So let me start with a quotation from Kurt Vonnegut. Here we are, trapped in the umber of moment. This is how we feel, or this is how we've been feeling since the end of February, beginning of March. This year has been described as difficult, hard, unprecedented, challenging. Callaway, in his book about indispensable companies, said that there is no such thing as hard times. He said times are normal. Hard times are earthquakes, floods, wars. Well, he didn't think about the pandemic. And this year, we tend to look at before, during, and after. And I wish we were all in the after period. But here we are, trapped in the umber of moment. We talk about challenging times. We talk about a difficult year. But I think it has never been easy. It has always been challenging. We've always faced challenges. If you look at the education as such, let it be individual teachers or institutions. So let's look at the teacher. I think that we all agree that this is a complex and multifaceted role. Teachers are knowers. They disseminate knowledge. They are trainers. They facilitate the training and learning process. They act as guides, as leaders, and as mentors. There is actually more to it than meets the eye, because teachers design and create programs, materials, they do action research, they disseminate, they monitor, they facilitate, they assess students, as you know, at the beginning of the course and towards its end. They organize students' work in a real classroom, in a virtual learning environment, outside the classroom. They manage students. They do quite a lot of administrative work. They guide, they lead, they mentor. They adopt and adapt programs, resources, and they develop new ones. They constantly reinvent themselves to meet new challenges, to take up new initiatives. And it's been like this, not just this year. It has been a fact of life, actually. Teachers have been always involved in continuous professional development program, ad hoc training sessions, both structured ones, inset projects, competency development frameworks, and sort of career planning, upgrading their formal qualifications. And if we look at the higher education, it has always been challenging, because what we expect from teachers is not only to improve the students' overall language competence, but prepare them to study in the foreign language, to prepare them to acquire linguistic competence in language for specific purposes, language for academic purposes, or language for specific academic purposes. We expect from them to help students develop their learning strategies, to become autonomous, independent learners. Moreover, we go beyond this. We want them to help them develop strategies which go beyond language learning. This is generic strategies and competences such as transferable study skills, problem solving, or critical thinking. This is at the level of individual teacher. It hasn't been much easier for institutions. This is what we've been facing in the context of higher education for the last decade or even 2 decades. The process of higher education becoming more and more international, the growth of English as a medium of instruction in universities, cross-border education. As a result, the profile of our students have become more and more diversified, and their needs and their expectations are changing rapidly. And we also have to bear in mind the dynamics of the labor market and the impact it has on education. And yes, we've always dealt with the unforeseen being the credit crunch over 10 years ago, the never-ending Brexit saga, or the pandemic this year, and recession looming around the corner. And this is the responses the sector has taken. We constantly review learning and teaching programs. We redesign syllabi curricula. We revise teaching and learning capacities. The number of students, they go up, they go down. We have to be flexible in terms of employment policy. What we have observed at Equals, which is quite sad conclusion is that, especially across Europe, in a number of institutions at various levels, the number of instructors, academic teachers who are hired on an hourly basis actually has grown considerably in the last 10 years. Said this, there has been focus on training and development, investment in infrastructure and new technologies. That's another observation this year, that those institutions that had blended programs before the outbreak of COVID-19 and invested a lot in digital media, they transfer online went quite quickly and was quite smooth. There was also development of more efficient management policies, a need for development of internal quality assurance, but also a demand for accreditation, international accreditation, hence our response by developing a scheme targeted at higher education institutions, not just Equals, it also an accreditation body in the United States, CA, or the one in Australia, NIAS. So that's our proposition: teacher development and training frameworks, portfolio of accreditation schemes, and training programs and resources in the area of academic management, recently online course provision, e-assessment, and obviously the adoption of CFR. So the teacher training and development frameworks, just to give you a flavor, this is the way they look. We've got two. The first one for general language. I'm deliberately not using English because we are an international organization, so it's just languages, not only English, although obviously English is the one which dominates. So the first teacher training and development framework we developed some 4 years ago. We published it. It's available in the public domain. And the newly developed one for language for academic purposes, we're doing final formatting of the document, will also be available in the public domain. There is clear equivalence between these two frameworks. They share the same methodological approach and the same principles. But you could say that the one for language for academic purposes is in a way an extension of the general one. However, it's also self-contained. So let's look at who, why, and how. Why? The idea is, and it comes from our experience of working with Equals accredited members, with applicant institutions. We are strong believers in self-assessment, right? So this is to help teachers assess and reflect on their teaching competences, their practice, their professional aims. It is to encourage self-development at the level of individual teacher, but also at the institutional level, to support principal evaluation at the level of an institution, and also to facilitate the design of the content of teacher training courses. Who is it for? Anyone who works in language education. Teachers, both novice teachers, experienced teachers, academic managers, directors of studies, academic directors, teaching team leaders, etc. Methodological approach, values and attitudes. This is what we start with, and this is what underpins the framework. And then we've got competences, which are described as knowledge of, skills, described as skills in, and this is across 3 development phases, and we've got global descriptors for them. There is the same language thread, from competency to competency, from skills to skills, across both frameworks. The language is, we believe, clear and simple, but not simplistic, and it's free of jargon. So, values and attitudes. In a nutshell, it's the value of inclusion. A positive attitude to diversity, various diversified learning, personal and cultural backgrounds of students. A belief in a belief that learning is really more efficient when students are aware of aims, intended learning outcomes, and a belief in learning-centered classroom. We'd rather use the word learning-centered than learner-centered. So, the structure. There are 5 main areas: planning, teaching and learning, teaching and supporting learning, assessment of learning, and language, communication and culture, and teacher as professional. So this is to give you a flavor what they cover. This is the overview of the 5 areas. This is what perhaps you would expect to see. So if you look at planning and teaching, this is about learner needs, curriculum and programs, lesson aims and outcomes, and then task, activities and materials. Teaching and supporting learning, it's methodologies, materials, interaction with learners, using digital resources, monitoring learning, and learner autonomy. Assessment of learning is the relationship and the impact of learning on assessment and vice versa. Assessment tools, the way they are designed, the way they are implemented and administered. Language communication and culture is the use of the language. Good models, the fact that the language is used, target language is used effectively, application of the Common European Framework of Reference principles, handling cultural issues, and applying practical principles of linguistic and psycholinguistics. Teacher as professional. It's not only about class observation, but it's about collaborative development and explanatory teaching. So as you see, it's quite comprehensive. So these are the development phases, just to compare the difference between the general framework and the one for LAP. The general one, the one for LAP, I would say, is more advanced or more sophisticated, if you want. So if we look at development phase for the general one, it refers to teachers who are early in their career. For the LAP, it's teachers who are early in their career in the context of higher education. Stage 2 is teachers who accumulate experience, become gradually more independent, whereas the higher education context is teachers who gradually, as they progress in their career, teach the content the students are studying. And the last phase is teachers with broad experience for the general one, whereas for the LAP would be teachers who work within the wider institution. We use the phrase wider institutions because higher education institutions are called various names. So they work more closely with the content, with faculties, etc. And that's how we describe, these are the global descriptors for the three phases. So phase 1, we're talking about teachers who are competent replicators, who know more or less how to use the processes, systems which have been developed in a given institution, but who still need a lot of feedback and guidance, and who are sort of learning. Stage 2 are those who are more competent, more independent in the way they use methodology. They show more initiative in planning and evaluation. Development phase 3 are teachers who are fully independent, who have a wide range of skills and competences, who not only use them, but they also are competent in creating programs, creating materials, creating assessment tools, and act as mentors for their peers. So this is an overview. 2 teacher development frameworks, knowledge of, skills in 5 main areas, and 3 stages of development. Let's take a closer look. It's a fast-forward version, right? We're not going to go through this, but this is just to give you an idea. This is the area planning, teaching, and learner needs and learning processes. That's phase 1, knowledge of. The general one is, you could see, pretty basic, quite elementary. When you look at the LAP framework, it's more sophisticated because it's very much rooted in what is needed at a higher education level and in the context of teaching languages for academic purposes. So this is knowledge of. And it's the key learning needs relevant to the study of LAP. It also has this cultural dimension included in it. If we look at skills in, yes, there are 4 in the general one, but the ones that refer to the LAP talk about anticipating and responding to learning needs relevant to development, again, more advanced. Because we're not dealing with teachers who are starting their teaching career. We're teaching about teachers who gradually move, but they start as experienced teachers, but they are new in the LAP or the higher education context. So the frameworks are to facilitate individual and institutional development. when times are slightly less challenging or when times are more difficult. The same purpose is behind our accreditation schemes, which offer independent advice and support from international experts. Because this is an international scheme, we've got over 50 inspectors who come from various backgrounds, various countries, and for whom not always English is the first language, but we accredit institutions which teach German, French, Spanish, Russian, Italian, etc. This scheme is in a way unique because it provides institutions with a roadmap for development. It's not a box-ticking exercise. What we have included in the accreditation process is an element of consultancy. And like any good accreditation scheme, it gives institutions an opportunity to reflect on practice, to say what they do what they say, and ask themselves two fundamental questions. Are we doing the right things? And are we doing them in the right way? The accreditation scheme is evidence and criterion based. We've got quality standards and detailed criteria, indicators of excellence and compliance. It is verified, the compliance is verified by means of inspections. The scheme is comprehensive. It assesses an institution in action and all its activities. In the case of high education institutions, we do not assess universities. We assess a relevant department, faculty, School of Foreign Languages, University Language Center. As I said, the scheme is developmental because it includes an element of self-assessment, which is compulsory. And in every inspection report, regardless of the result of the inspection, we have recommendations for improvement, which are later verified during accreditation period, which in our case lasts 4 years. So the Equals inspection scheme, the one for higher education. This is our response to a growing number of institutions applying for Equals accreditation, which are university centers, and we felt that we could actually tweak and adopt the main scheme, which is mainly for language schools, corporate training centers, or foreign language departments of mainstream schools such as primary and secondary school, that we should do something which is more targeted at the university sector. So this is for university language centers, let's use this generic name, which offer language programs to graduate, undergraduate, and postgraduate students. Universities where completion of language training programs is a requirement for graduation, but we also work quite a lot with English as a medium of instruction universities, where they run preparatory and foundation programs. So the structure of the scheme, 12 main categories, grouped in 5 sections, 56 quality standards. I've counted them myself just for this presentation, 178 indicators of compliance, but we also have 66 indicators of excellence. We give our inspectors tools to assess whether an institution in a given area or in a given point exceeds Equals standards, which are quite demanding because it is a robust and rigorous scheme. And this is also reflected in the grading scheme we have. It also gives institutions an incentive for further development. They want to do even better when they are inspected 4 years later. Okay, the main sections. Institutional management and governance covers management and administration, quality assurance, which is quite prominent in our scheme, communication with staff, students, and other stakeholders. The core of it is academic management, where we look at course design and supporting systems. Supporting systems is academic management structure, academic administration, teacher induction, and teacher support. Teaching and learning, which is verified by means of inspections, assessment and certification, and academic resources. We're running out of time. 3 other sections are student services in higher education. These are services offered to students by the university sector, by the university center. It's not where the university offers, we're not looking at what the wider institution offers, but the center. Learning environment and facilities, again, those used by the university center. We're not assessing whether there is a swimming pool on campus. And we'll also look at staff employment terms, their qualifications, professional development, and profile. There is a synergy between the accreditation scheme and our approach in the framework. Just to give you one example, this is a quality standard from the scheme. This is the area of teaching and learning. Lessons are planned with reference to the relevant course objectives, intended learning outcomes, and the language and academic needs of students. You will see that the standards are quite generic because it's an international scheme. But this is an indicator of compliance which specifies what we mean by this. We say that the content of the lesson, the materials, the methodology employed are suitable for the level and the needs of the students, for example, academic literacy skills and or specific needs relating to the target discipline and appropriate for the learning outcomes. And this is what we've got in the framework. This is phase 1 skills in adapting activities to take account of students' previous academic cultures, but also selecting, adapting, and designing materials relevant to LAP, using methodology relevant to the teaching and learning of language for academic purposes. It's not the same, it's not identical, but this is the same approach and the same educational philosophy behind it. So these are the 2 pillars. Because we work a lot with English, I'll skip this one because that's another example, because we work a lot with English as a medium of instruction in universities. When sometimes School of Foreign Languages struggle, they get students who are A1 level, they have to 2 semesters to take them to theoretically B2, so they are ready to go and they follow their studies. Usually it is in English. One of our prominent accredited members, Nile Institute for Language Education, have recently put together an online program for those working in EMI, and this is designed for those who are sort of practitioners, those who want to upgrade their competences, or those who are considering starting teaching English as a medium instruction. It's a practical course with things like how you activate students in this particular context, how you develop resources, how you give feedback, how you teach them academic writing skills, how you do formative assessment. It also looks at flipped learning and professional competences. So, to sum up, this is our response: teacher development frameworks to facilitate self-assessment, development, reflection and evaluation at the level of individual teachers and institutions, very much needed when times are difficult. Professional quality assurance schemes for various players in the area of language education and training programs. Thank you very much. Have we got time for questions, if there are any questions? Thank you. This was a fast-forward version. I apologize.
Thank you very much, Ludka. I think it's really helpful to know that such an organization exists. So are there any questions for the last speaker, for Ludka? If not, I can start with a very practical question. So if I am a teacher and I want to work on self-development and I want to contact you, how should I proceed?
Well, first of all, we work mainly with institutions, right? Because we don't accredit individuals, we accredit institutions. We don't even accredit programs, but we accredit institutions. You can always, first of all, there's our website, and we're quite transparent, so you can find quite a lot of materials on our website. If you would like to be part of our network, we've got something like individual membership. There are criteria you can apply. You can become an individual member of Equals with access to all the resources, webinars, etc.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions?
As an institution, if you are interested in becoming what we call the Equals family, right? Not an Equals network, but an Equals family. And if you would like to find out more about how the accreditation process works, right? We start with self-assessment. We do a lot of consultancy online. We don't expect you to apply for the first inspection. You can do a lot of consultancy with us online and then decide, sorry, we don't want to do this. So the best way is to go to our website. There is an inquiry form, and if it is about accreditation, they will put you in contact with me. But you can also use this time here to talk to me. I'll be here till the end of the conference.
Okay, any other questions? So maybe my last question, because
Well, I think that the unprecedented transfer online meant that teachers, I think, now act more not only as those who actually disseminate knowledge, but those who actually guide and facilitate. This is quite interesting. I was talking to one of our members, that's a university in Saudi Arabia, to one of the instructors who said, you know, before they never bothered to use the time for one-to-one tutorials, do home assignment, and now everything has changed. I'm really, really pleased because the only positive outcome of the pandemic is that students are much more focused on studying, that they take more time, and they are more willing to make the use of what we've always offered, which is personalized attention and personal tutorials. I think that the role of teachers as guides, as mentors and facilitators.
Okay, thank you. We can finish on this positive and optimistic note. Thank you very much, Ludka.
Thank you.